Hi, I'm David Harry, and in this video I'm going to be doing a blind A/B comparison between two microphones, the Rode Video Micro and the Comica VM10. Okay, so the simple point of this video then is to test out two microphones. One of them is the Comica CVM VM10, which I will refer to here on in as either the Comica or the VM10, and the other one is the Rode Video Micro, which again from here on in I'll refer to that as either the Rode or the Micro. This is also going to be a blind A/B testing, which basically means I record both of the microphones simultaneously, and as I'm playing them back I will chop between one and the other, calling one microphone A, the other one microphone B, and then when I get to the end during my summary I will then reveal which microphone is which. Now the reason why I do that is because it gives you every opportunity to have a good listen in 4 different scenarios and work out, which mic did you prefer. Now what I'm going to do is do the test right as I am right now, obviously with this position, which is a close position like this. Now this is going to be good for things like podcasting, vlogging, or any kind of scenario where you don't mind the microphones being in shot like this. Also, the test after this one is I'm going to bring them over the top on a boom. We'll try that. Then I'll go outdoors and I'll do 2 tests there. One of them is going to be put on top of the camera, and then the other one is going to be handheld. So between them 4 different tests we'll get a really good idea as to how each one of them kind of like acts or reacts to the different environments and also to the different positions that they're put in as well. The other thing that you may also want to do for this test is listen on headphones so that you can get to hear any kind of like minor or big differences that there may or may not be between the two microphones. Okay, so this bit of dialogue that I've done here during the introduction is probably going to be good enough, to give us an idea of how they sound like this. Also, I've not put the dead cats on, so during this first part there may well be a bit of plosives going on and whatnot. Now I don't mind that in this particular part of the test. Reason being is because I'm testing the microphones for how they truly sound without any obstructions such as foam or dead cats. Obviously when I go outside, dead cats are going to be on them, so we'll get to hear how they sound with them on as well anyway. Okay, so what I'll do now, I'll flip over onto the boom variation indoors. Okay, so as we can see, there's the 2 microphones coming in on a boom. So what I'm going to do now is just crop into the shot, and then what will happen is we'll lose the microphones now. So what it is, they're obviously still there, but now they are just outside the frame of view or outside the framing of this particular shot. Now, why would you want to put these on a boom? Well, you just simply don't want to have microphones in the shot, which is probably the biggest reason why people put them on a boom and get them out of a shot anyway. Because sometimes, you don't want them here in front of you, or sometimes you don't want them in your hand or what have you, but anyway, these 4 scenarios that I'm going to show kind of cover, 4 of the main ways that you would use a microphone like this, and also give us the idea, or give us a good idea of the sounds that they produce in the various different locations, indoors and outdoors, but also within the different kind of positions as well. So like I say, right now, what we're doing, we're getting a really good idea of how both of these microphones sound coming in on a boom indoors as well. And again, I'll just reiterate the point as well. This is this is a typical home environment. This is actually a living room, so you can't get more typically home environmental than this. So basically, this is going to give you a really good idea as to how this microphone would sound for most people recording indoors at home, doing YouTube videos or vlogging or podcasting or anything that you would want to use these microphones for indoors. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go outdoors and do 2 more tests out there. The first of the tests that I do outdoors will be a little bit more involved because I've got a bit more space outdoors to kind of exercise the microphones a bit more as well. Okay, so I'll shoot off outdoors. So I'm outside now for the outside part of these tests, and in the first position that I'm in at the moment, I've got both of the microphones top mounted on top of the camera. Now this type of position, this is going to be really good for the likes of, say, vlogging or kind of like interview work, or basically any position where you want to throw a microphone on top of a camera and get quite close to the subject. Because like I keep mentioning with these types of microphones, they're not really designed to be held that far off. So this type of distance that I have here is probably, you know, well within the bounds of these mics, but going further away from them is not really advisable. In fact, actually on that point, I will test it. So what I'm doing, I'm just going to walk off a little bit. So I'll stand here, I'm probably about 8 feet away from the camera, and then you know, as I'm flipping between mic to mic, we'll get an idea of what the sensitivities are like. And then I'll come back about here, maybe I'm about 16 feet away now, something like that. So again, just flipping between mic to mic, we'll get an idea of how they sound as far as their sensitivity towards distant dialogue is concerned. And then just for the heck of it, I don't know, I'm very far away now, so this will give us an idea as to how they pick up. Again, I'll be flipping mic to mic, so we'll get an idea. Now the only thing is, with them kind of distances, like I say, I wouldn't normally advise them, because what's going to happen, regardless of how sensitive the microphones are, they're going to be more subject to the surrounding sounds. Right now, I'm not like, you know, I'm not in a really bad environment, so that may not have sounded that bad, but like I say, I wouldn't normally recommend it. This is kind of like, you know, the kind of distances for these types of microphones that I'd recommend. So now what I'm going to do is a directional test, just so that we can test the cardioid pattern of these microphones. So what I'm going to do, I'm just standing off to one side here, roughly the same distance as it was from the front, and as I'm flipping from mic to mic, we should hear a difference in the drop off of my dialogue compared to what it was like at the front. Now what I'm doing, I'm standing directly behind both of them, again at a similar distance as to what I was standing at the front, and again as I'm flipping between mic to mic, we should hear a difference in the amount of dialogue that's being rejected from behind. And just to complete the directional test, I'm now standing on the other side of the microphones, and again as I'm flipping from one to another, we should be able to hear some form of a difference in like the level of my dialogue. And then finally I get back around to the front again, and then here is obviously the optimum position for these microphones. Now what I'm going to do, which was a bit different than the last test that I've done, I'm actually going to do some kind of a sensitivity to vibration test with the microphone. Hello dog. Hello. That's cool. Okay, I was just saying hello to a dog then. What it is, the park that I'm in is like, you know, really kind of popular for dog walkers and such. And with me coming here quite a lot for doing me tests and what have you, a lot of the dogs tend to recognise me and come over and say hello. And it would be extremely rude not to say hello back, especially since as I'm a massive dog person. Anyways, what I was about to do was do some kind of a vibration test. And what it is, I didn't do this on the previous test that I've done with a VB on top of the camera like this. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to tap various parts of, say, the tripod and then the camera. And then I'll flip again between mic to mic. And what we should hopefully get there is an idea of how well the actual suspension mounts are working on these microphones. Okay, so I'll start off just by tapping the legs on the tripod. Okay, and then what I'll do, I'll move a bit further up and do some tapping there. And then what I'll do, I'll also tap the stereo bar that the microphones are on. Okay, now I know that might seem a little excessive, because obviously the microphones will be actually picking up the sound of that happening, but hopefully as well we should have heard like any differences that there may or may not be between how well that the suspension cradles or the suspension shock mounts for these microphones handle the actual transmitted vibrations as well. Okay, so I think that's good enough then for this part of the test. So what I'm going to do now is flip over to go handheld. Okay, so to the handheld part of the test, and once again I've re-leveled the input gain for the microphones, again because the microphones have changed position. They are now closer to me, which means that they don't require such a big gain going into the camcorder. Obviously in post I'm going to like rebalance these for listening purposes so that like none of them jump too far out from any of the others. But what will happen here, or what we should notice, is because they are a lot closer to me and because I've dropped the gain down in the camera, because I'm now getting a much healthier signal from the microphones themselves due to the proximity to me voice, we should notice that maybe some of the background sounds sound a little bit quieter as well. Again, just due to the fact that I've got the microphones closer. Now what I'm not going to do here, I'm not going to go through any more gamut of testing such as like, you know, directional and stuff, because I already did that once the microphones were on top of the camera. And what I will do, I'll do a little slight vibration test again. So what I'm going to do is just shake them a little bit. Okay, so that'll again give us another idea as to how the shock mounts for both of the microphones are responding to slight vibrations and whatnot. Anyways, in this position, you know, your guess is as good as mine as to what you would want to use them for. You know, top of my head, electronic news gathering, or vlogging, or podcasting, or any other thing that you would want to do with a microphone this close to you. Anyways, I think this will probably sum it up for all the testing and whatnot, because like I say, I don't need to go over the top with this one, because all the previous tests have kind of involved certain things which I don't need to replicate right now. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go into the silence test and the count test, and then I'll come back just for a little bit of a summary at the end. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Blech. So to the summary and the reveal. Microphone A is the Rode Video Micro and microphone B is the Comica VM10. Now, just as with my previous blind A/B comparison tests, I am not going to tell you which of these microphones is better. It just isn't fair. What it is, I give you a bunch of scenarios, you have a listen, and you make up your own mind which one suits your purposes. The one thing that I will say though is that both of these microphones are very good, especially when you consider how much they are, because in reality they are only budget microphones. Let's not forget that. These are not kind of like £300–400 microphones. Both of these microphones cost anywhere between £40 to £50, which makes them a budget microphone. And at that price bracket, I think both of these microphones are fantastic. I think maybe one of them might be better than the other in particular scenarios, or one might be better for, than the other for handling noise or for hiss. But you can make up that decision for yourself, because let's face it, who wants some random stranger on YouTube telling them what's the best thing that they should be buying? Anyways, as far as I'm concerned, this test's over now. So once again, I've been David Harry, and thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.